Yo, what's going on? Today I hit Demigod finally, so I just thought I'd make a little video showcasing that final match that got me there. It's not a very exciting match, but I wasn't really trying to PvP, I was just trying to ensure that I got to Demigod with the last match, so I played it pretty safe, just kind of looted and avoided PvP for the most part. It took me about 403 matches to get to Demigod, and I think it would have been a lot faster had I just only focused on treasures instead of PvPing. I probably spent about 300 matches just PvPing and looting other people's gear, which really slowed me down in doing this grind. But really, doing Demigod is not that hard of a grind, as long as you just farm AP and play safe. So, I'll just do a little bit of commentary on this match. So in the pre-lobby, I'm basically just looking out for wizards and warlocks, making sure that they don't inspect me. It's fine if other classes inspect me, but I don't want them to know that I have cutthroat, so I usually just try to avoid getting inspected by wizards and warlocks. Slayer Fighter right here. They are an issue. They can easily 2-tap you as a rogue very quickly, but usually their speed is not too high, as long as you're building movement speed. I'm built movement speed here, and that's pretty much how I've been building all wipe, is just building movement speed, getting to 350 movement cap. I think movement speed is extremely strong in Goblin Caves, and I think that the people that are building movement speed in Goblin Caves are gonna eat you alive if you're not building movement speed. It's pretty much just how it goes in Goblin Caves, unfortunately. Like, you need to build movement speed. There's a lot of barbarians in Goblin Caves right now. There wasn't that a lot at the start of the wipe. At the start of the wipe, it was a lot of plate fighters, and then it kind of slowly shifted towards wizard and warlocks for a little bit, and then now it kind of shifted back to basically just being barbarians and then some fighters and rogues in matches. So barbarian is pretty scary to play against as a rogue. It's probably the worst thing you can match up against with as a rogue. That and plate fighter. For the most part, I stopped fighting plate fighters while I'm running cutthroat because it's just really not that. It's just so difficult. Not possible really. Not worth it. I mean, it is possible, but it's not really worth it to kill plate fighters when you're running cutthroat. The risk to reward is not worth it, in my opinion. You could still try it, but it's just going to be very difficult. So right here, I got a spawn next to Centipede. Centipede's a good guaranteed like 20 AP, and they usually have, sometimes they have really good rings and necklaces and stuff, so I don't mind clearing them really quickly. You can cheese it by just going on the ramp and then jumping every time it uses the purple spray. But back on Barbarian, a lot of lobbies are just full of Barbarian right now, and as you saw maybe in the pre-lobby, there was a Barbarian that had some copper light gear on, and that's really scary to see because that means that that's a Barbarian that's probably very fast. Barbarians can pretty easily get to movement cap with Rage activated and Zweihander equipped too. So Zweihander is so powerful; it can one-shot you. So you have to play so insanely careful against Barbarian. It came to a point where I just stopped fighting Barbarians and just running away because it's not worth it half the time. They one-shot you if they catch you, and they can easily catch you because of Rage. If you're not build movement speed, most Barbarians are going to be able to catch you. And if they don't catch you with Rage, they'll catch you with Francisca Axes too. It's just very difficult to play against as a rogue, so you have to build movement speed again. So basically, what I did there was I activated the Shrine to get 3 AP, even though I was full health. They give a little bit of AP when you activate them. And then I was waiting for that goo to dissolve and go away so that I could loot the Centipede. I'm basically right now just picking up everything that's worth AP, and then I'll drop what's not very good later on. This is a good room that I just looked in, but there was a goblin dead, so I didn't want to risk it. There's always a possibility that there's a rogue. I always look in rooms before I enter them, see if mobs are alive. In this case, the mobs are alive and they're not aggroed on anyone, so that indicates that there's no rogue or anyone in the room. And I like to leave doors open behind me because if someone starts to come through a room and chase you, you need to have an escape route. Back on the barbarian, if a barbarian comes into your room and you don't have an escape route and he rages and chases you, like, you're pretty screwed, I'm gonna be honest. So you have to have some doors open and some escape routes ready while you're playing rogue, or any class really. Chests are an okay source of AP. They're better than nothing. It's always good to kill mobs too, because killing mobs actually gives a lot of AP, believe it or not. Like if you go a whole match and you don't find a lot of treasures, just kill some mobs. They give a ton of AP. You can basically get to Demigod only killing mobs. So right here, all of these goblins are look like they're running in a train, which kind of indicates that someone might have ran into that room to my left with all the aggro, with all the goblins aggroed. So I'm being careful with that. I don't hear them though. It's the only thing. Blue gear is not really worth picking up. I'll pick up purples because they're better than nothing, but there's still not a whole lot of AP. For the most part, items don't give hardly any AP, so I don't really pick them up unless they're like rings or necklaces. So right here, I'm just checking the room to see if there's someone in there. These nightmare swordsmen, you can easily just bait their attack by letting them run at you, get close, really close up to you, and then just backing off. And only take 2 hits, because if you take 3, there's a chance you hit their shield and they instantly retaliate. If you hit their shield at any point in at any of their animations, they'll do the retaliation, and it does like half your health. So you have to always be careful against nightmare goblin swordsmen. So right here I use a shield potion because that room that I'm going to go into has crates and some good loot for AP, but I'm cautious that it might be a landmine rogue or something, so I shield potion before. But the mob is alive, so that indicates that no one went to the room. 4 crates right here, pretty good AP. This is a pretty good spot. It sucks as a rogue, you have to take a pickaxe if you want to break these boxes. Every other class in the game does not have to take a pickaxe to break these boxes, and they all can break them in like 1 hit too, or 2 hits, but rogue has to take a pickaxe to break them. One of the crappy things about rogue. Highly recommend always taking a pickaxe. Potions of invisibility, they actually give a decent amount of AP. It's better than nothing. It's like 3, I think. Goblin bolas always move to the right to dodge their attack because it comes out of their right hand. So if you move to the left, you have a much easier chance to get hit. That door was open over there, and a goblin was dead. So that kind of indicates that someone might be over there. Always look through windows before entering rooms. The mobs were alive, so that indicated that no one spawned here. Same thing with goblin archers, always dodge to the right because the bow comes out of their, or the arrow I mean, comes out of their right side. Dragonflies are actually a pretty decent source of treasures as well. They very often have greens on them. Right here, just clearing this room because there's some boxes in the back corner that I want to get to. And then I'm going to go to the bottom and try to open the chest that spawns. Try to open chests in between goblin fleeing. Whenever goblins flee, you can open a chest usually. That's a good opportunity too. So that door over there was open, so that indicates someone was there, because that door does not spawn open. Again, just taking all the treasures. Goblins are dead, so it's a little bit scary. Playing it safe and going this direction because I know the goblins over here. One was alive, so that means that they're not over here. It's just a little bit safer to go this way. Mobs alive means that no one's been there for the most part. I take a lot of potions and bandages and then just drop them throughout the match as I don't need them to pick up treasures. It's always good to have more healing and bandages than you think you need. They're cheap, and you never know when you're gonna have a match where you have to take a few fights and then also sit in zone and wait for a static or something. So you always want more potions and bandages than you think you need. I usually take about 6 stacks of potions and about 6 or 7 stacks of bandages. More bandages than potions is generally a good idea because you really only use potions for topping off your non-recoverable health and then bandages for healing the rest. So you go through bandages much quicker than you go through potions. So now I'm just dropping pieces that are worth less AP and then replacing them with pieces that are worth slightly more. This isn't very enjoyable gameplay to me. Like I just like to PvP, but I really wanted to get this grind done, so kind of had to just do this treasure grind. Kind of potatoed here for a second, couldn't figure out how to Tetris. Shield potion, because always be wary of rogues and stuff, cutting off your routes. It's also my final match before Demigod, so I was playing it extra safe. I thought a portal spawned in here, that's why I opened it. So right here, that's the Copperlight Barbarian, so that's really scary to run into, so I'm playing it very safe. There's a portal right here, and I want to get to it. But this guy looks like he might want to fight, so I just run. I know I can outrun him, but I still don't want to fight him. It's just not really worth it to fight movement speed barbarians with his way-hander. So what I do here is I just creep back and go open the portal, so he doesn't hear me opening it. And yeah, that was the match that got me to Demigod. So the perks and skills that I used while doing this grind to Demigod, I'll just go over them really quickly. First is creep. A lot of people don't really like creep. I think it's pretty strong though in solos. I've done videos on it to showcase why it's good. A lot of people still kind of sleep on it, but I think creep is not that great in like trios or duos, but I think it's very, very powerful in solos for a whole lot of reasons, but I won't really go over them in this video. Stealth, this is kind of just mandatory if you're using hide. Ambush, also just mandatory. And then back attack, I like back attack because it kind of combos well with creep. It makes it a lot easier to get behind someone when they can't hear you, and then you can get the benefit from back attack. A lot of people were using daggers with dagger mastery and thrust, but I find that thrust is not worth using when you take cutthroat because I'm not going to fight plate anyway, and I don't use daggers. Thrust only works on daggers. And dagger mastery, I don't really use daggers. I still think short sword is just the best to use. The damage output is too high. And then I took Cutthroat and Hide. Cutthroat is really good in solos in my opinion. It's not that great against plate. Like you need weak point if you're going to even consider fighting plate. But Cutthroat basically makes warlocks, wizards, rangers, other rogues really easy to fight. And it helps a little bit against barbarian, but doesn't really matter when barbarians one-shot you. Yeah, I don't think I didn't die to a single wizard or ranger this entire grind to Demigod. And Cutthroat is definitely part of the reason that I was able to do that. As for the build that I was using once I hit Demigod, I pretty much just had a decent purple short sword, a shadow mask with agility, a necklace of peace, with some true fizz. I like this thing because it gives a lot of health. I always carry a lantern on me because, they just help with seeing things on the ground sometimes. And also, I use it for pressure plates. There's one room in a Goblin Caves module that has a pressure plate, um, and that lets you cut through the room really fast in a shortcut. And if you don't have a lantern or a torch or throwing knives or some way to open it, then you can't really open it and take that shortcut. So it's always just better to carry something that can open that pressure plate. Throwing knives also work though. You can just throw a throwing knife at the plate. And then my gear, some agi riveted gloves. These are the fastest gloves in the game. They're not a very good like damage stat stick, but if you're one to building movement speed, that's the kind of gloves to use. Copperlight tunic, an agi tunic. This is -0 movement speed, so it's just 5 free health and 20 armor rating. This is just a not very good physical power stat stick cloak so that I could get to 0% physical power because I'm not at 15 strength. And then rings just have like a 2 strength, 2 true, and then a movement speed ring with some true fizz. Movement speed trousers, pretty much necessary to use loose trousers if you're building movement speed, and then copper lightfoot boots with movement speed. The build is pretty low on damage, but when you have a lot of movement, don't really need it. You can still fight people fine as long as they're not plate or barbs.